Have you ever imagined how you would survive on a deserted island? No clothes, no food, no hair on your head. Let's follow the safari guy's journey, who challenged themselves 60 days on the island without any modern gadgets. From the search for hunting water to build a shelter. I've been through difficulties and challenges today. I can't believe you can make it through and become the best in the world. In this challenge, let's explore. When others come to survive in the wilderness, they will be hungry for 9 meals in 3 days, but you're the staffer alone. All over the goat's thigh. And cup of coconut crab giant size XNXX. Since your last survival trip in the Amazon River, this is the first time I've had a bald head cut. Appeared in front of the lens to practice his hunger and thirst skills. This time I'm going to play a big game for the world. Admiring the challenge, he was alone on the island for 60 days. And no need to get dressed. If you succeed, you will be the best in the world. Be prepared before you start. Departure date. He called a beautiful female doctor to examine his body, to make sure there's no problem with the whole body. Come on. No food and no hair. All you have is a video camera. And on the teeth under CapCut. Humans can live 21 days without eating. But you can't live 3 days without drinking water. Finding water is definitely a priority right now. There are a lot of trees on the island. It can be used as a temporary replacement for fresh water. I don't like old coconuts on the beach. I want to pick fresh fruit from the tree. The water inside will be sweeter and more. Next you're going to explore along the island. Find a natural cave in front. The higher the terrain, the safer it seems. So I choose to stay here. Tonight I spit out some weeds that flow up as a cushion. I think I can sleep more comfortably. The sky quickly darkened. Your current dish is only a handful of coconuts. Go to bed, just put some hay on it to protect him. The next day he foraged for food along the coast. There's a lot of little conch clinging to the rock. I caught them all without missing a single one. There is currently no source of fire. There is something. If you want to eat, you have to eat thousands of them. Eat only conch. It's certainly not a long-term solution. There's water flowing down the cliff ahead. I tasted it and it turned out to be fresh water. He immediately poked his neck and took a few deep breaths. It's fresh water, but it smells strange. I decided to make a water purifier. I've been busy up and down for a long time. The energy from the conch just ate is also useless. On the way back, I found a bush of sea urchins. This bark is very hard and can be used as a rope. I made them into pants to protect the swallows. You seem pretty pleased with your long dress. It's not far away. There's a lot of plastic bottles washed up on the beach. I picked it all up and carried it without missing a single thing. The island has a large temperature difference between day and night. It's very hot during the day, but it'll be cold at night. I went to collect 10. A lot of coconuts come back and clean up the nest. I found a little gecko at work. It's been a long time since I saw protein. You don't miss protein delivered to your mouth. With the humanitarian spirit, you take a stone and you press it on the head into strings. The little gecko has been transformed. In the early days, I didn't eat food like this. I hesitated for a while holding it in my hand. In the end, hunger defeats reason. Directly into the mouth without removing the head or raw. I didn't forget the broken tail I had left. Now the only thing on the island is coconuts and conch. It's hard to rely on these things alone. It can make you feel full. The dwarf coconut trees on the island are plucked. The tall trees are there. One to pick can only use the supporting tools. I went into the forest and broke trees to go poking coconuts. Time to day 3. Now you have a basic place. Simple food and little fresh water. By amount of activity. With memories. I picked up some big seashells on the beach. Clean it up and put it on the shore. Now it just needs a heavy rain. Previous freshwater craters. It should also be fully utilized. Use the wire as a straw and put it in a plastic bottle. Water flowing down the cliff will settle on the wire and flow into the bottle. The environment outside the island has been explored, but not inside. I will search for the island. If you don't look, you will be shocked. The island is full of walking protein. There's a lot of goats living here. If you could catch one, at least you won't have to worry about food. In the next half month, there is currently no working tool. Goat hunting must be postponed. This is a burnt charcoal. I haven't brushed my teeth since I've been on the island for days. The coal came just in time to grind the coal into powder. Use it to brush your teeth more effectively. Colgate continues to explore further. Go to a place where you can see the whole island. The scenery here is beautiful. Thursday on the island. The water in the bottle on the stone wall was overflowing. After replenishing water, it's a fun day. The only survival factor is missing. It's the fire that I wanted to do in the most primitive way. In creating fire, all material must be collected 10 and full. You make a drill out of clouds and tree branches. There is no knife. Use the stones you picked up to chop wood. Noticed, your living environment is improving. I can't help but cry, but people still say, life is more than what you see. In addition, there is a question in the distance. After adjusting the mood, you have to keep working. But the bow line broke when it was just rubbing. Keep trying and 7 failed. It looks like the fire won't be lit. In a short time, the time has come Friday. The water storage system on the stone wall also brings bad news. All the water is out. There's very little water in the bottle. Currently, water issues remain a top priority. There's still too much risk. By relying on that single source of instability, sooner or later the coconuts are eaten. The temperature will be much lower in the afternoon. Even if you freeze your body, it can't be frozen. My swallow. He upgraded the miniskirt to a long skirt. There's not much progress on the fire today. I woke up the next morning feeling a little dehydrated. A long waste of days. Still can't get coconuts from higher ground. Because you eat raw conch every day. Your stomach and intestines can't take it anymore. This exacerbates the level of water loss. He's lying in front of the cave at night, looking very emaciated. It's even a little silly. Time to the 9th day. I'm still trying my best to find fresh water. There is no water on the island. But I found a piece of discarded clothing. And there's a lot of footprints on the beach. It's probably the goat on the island. Carrying a heavy body walking. The feeling of weakness in the body. I need to go to camp to rest. At this time even in Ngok Trin has. Take off your clothes and stand in front of me. I can't get up either. Time to day 11. This morning I had no choice. Is to open the first aid box and take 2 antibiotics. However, dehydration conditions and symptoms still do not improve. Fortunately, the rain came in time. The shells that used to be filled with rainwater. He sucked Jung into a bottle. After drinking water, exploration progress on the island needs to be accelerated. Found some taro leaves on the ground. Get your hands down. Big taro. There's no fire, so you can't eat grilled food, but you've got your own smart plan. Cut taro into thick slices with a piece of iron box, put it under the sun. A few hours later, you've been eating crisp and refreshing taro. Man broke down. The body begins to recover gradually. Eating normally stops fat. I had the idea to fish in the sea. Take the top half of the bottle and put it back in. Put the meat inside as bait. Wait until the afternoon to check the traps. Surprisingly, there are a lot of fish inside. There must be at least 10. After returning to camp, I can't wait to enjoy sashimi. Fresh fish ROI. It was a bit of a mess, but I had to stay on the island for days. You are at risk of infection if you continue to eat raw fish. We need to start the fire as soon as possible. To improve the success rate. It'll take you another 4 hours. To upgrade the fire engine. And finally, with relentless effort, the fire has been grouped should succeed. Time to the 13th day. The first thing you do when there's a fire, make yourself a cup of hot tea. Food sources have not changed much. But the taste is greatly improved. The rainy season is approaching to make yourself more comfortable. I'm planning to build another shelter. On the other side of the island, but now they have to solve the water problem. Previously distributed according to the structure of the whole island, the natural depression in the center is where there's a lot of water. Sweetest digging down by the corner of the ravine. After a while a large amount of mud appeared. I took a drink and found it neither salty nor pale. However, for safety reasons, I don't drink directly. My book is full of bottles. Pack it up and take it all back to camp. Based on current level of activity and water consumption, it requires about 2.5 liters of water per day. This water won't last a day. Still expect some more rain in time. When I got back to the camp, the fire was almost out. He was afraid and rushed into the cave to store more wood. Life has changed now. From a struggling life to a carefree life. Eat conch and grilled coconut every day. There's nothing to do, make a hot cup of tea. Time to day 15. I changed my crab meal today. There's a lot of fish in the pot. Don't worry about food. Life on the island is wonderful. The terrain here is flat and dry. After identifying a new shelter location, you start collecting 10 materials right away. Because you have no tools and no physical strength. The process of cutting trees is also very labor-intensive. It took 2 hours to complete the roof. Today is the 17th. Early in the morning, I went to the forest to cut down trees. You're facing a tree and pulling it. It took 9 cows and 2 tigers. I brought a small tree back to the camp. I cut down 3 trees in one morning. Physical strength is exhausted, sitting in the cave feeling hungry and tired. Due to lack of protein supplements, the body cannot recover to a better state. Before the tide rises, you've got to go over there to get some fresh water as soon as possible. Before leaving, I put mud all over my body to protect against the sun, avoid sunburn. Different types of bottles and cans, drifting on the beach every day. There's another surprise today. I found a worn toothbrush. I think will be great when combined with charcoal to clean teeth. You haven't taken 2 steps. I picked up a football. Despite being podium, but does not affect the use of the session, I sat in front of the camera to recap the journey. When I woke up the next day, you're in new trouble. The branches on either side of the camp were too narrow, leading to the instability of the camp structure. But I'm a little helpless for the bigger trees. Holding a stone to cut the tree like scratching itches, most of the time was spent building the camp. So I don't have time to fish for food. If you don't add some protein, your body will not be able to handle it. I caught some wild crabs along the coast. There's a little eel under the rock. Today's lunch is getting richer. I started laughing. I couldn't take 2 steps and picked up a strange animal. After a few strokes, a pile of white viscous liquid spitting out. Anyway, I brought it all back to the barbecue. I am most satisfied with the meat. Fat but not fat. So good that he sucked his fingers on the part of the strange animal. It explodes when it's baked. I'm still a little squeamish when it comes to this unknown creature. If it's poisonous, he walks on cold feet. But it's still faster than him. Just try it first. It tastes a bit like shit when chewed. Time to day 19. It's raining hard at night. Gave you a lot of fresh water. At least you won't have to worry about that. In the next few days, even if it doesn't rain, we can replenish fresh water, but it also has a bad impact. The cave became cold and wet. I still need to finish building the new camp. As soon as possible, coconut leaves can be used to weave the roof. Time to day 21. The current job is a continuous cycle. Cut the leaves and knit them and build them into the camp. Estimate. It will take about 10 days to complete the construction. Cutting trees by hand without tools. It takes time and energy. After days of cutting trees, your right hand has lost all its strength. I don't know, can I continue this manual work? Or not until the 22nd. Now your body is starting to lose water. After drinking all the rain, you've got to start picking coconuts from the trees. Average daily caloric intake of about 3,000 snails. And the crabs you eat are only about 600. You keep digging taro. At least you can replenish your calories like this one. It doesn't seem. Obtain what is not resigned. I picked up some taro leaves and put them in my mouth. If nothing happens, there will be an accident. As soon as you swallow it. There is something. You can't seem to say meaningless things. Except silence. When I returned to camp, I had diarrhea many times. Your stomach, that was empty, is now completely empty. However, the challenge must continue. You have to work hard to build a shelter. It takes about 3 days to complete the roof. You accidentally stepped on an eel. You caught it. Despite being bitten, he won the victory. What's even more disturbing is that wild goats on the island. He even dared to go to the camp. I have no other way. I have to hold my head in despair. I happen to see a hermit crab lying on the ground. There's a natural bait to fill the stomach. He picked up the stone and took the crab back to the ecstasy world. Go back to camp and put it on the fire for heating. Song directly put up mouth make a red. I plan to spend the night, like the last night in the cave. It will move to tomorrow. New camp time to day 24. He moved a lot of wood to the warehouse. The roof has not been filled. There's no way to stop the wind and the rain. I have to go to the cave to sleep tonight. Prolonged lack of water and food. It's exhausting you mentally and physically. His mind is filled with images of his wife at home. Time to day 27. I'm walking on the beach. I saw fishing boats in the distance. Since you came to the island, this is the first time. Feel the breath of others. Maybe your mood has improved a little. While patrolling the island, I found taro leaves again. Cherry should be some taro. Plus a hermit crab hiding next door. The tree that was cut down for 10 days was successfully knocked down. With the reinforcement of this big trunk, running will not be easily blown away by the storm. It arrived on the 28th. The new run is almost complete. Okay. Break it. I can't help but whistle. Another day passed in the blink of an eye. Say goodbye to life. In the cave from today. I'm packing up and moving to a new camp. Of course, the most precious fire can't be left behind. To celebrate the new family, I made a cup of fresh Vietnamese tea. Lie down and think, is the wife at the neighbor's house well taken care of? Time to 30 days. Eat coconut and conch every day. Living on the island is no longer a problem. To improve the quality of life, I started thinking about the goats. I watched for days without a chance to catch it. Can only sit in the camp eating poor coconut soup. I think of the delicious grilled goat meat, and I blink. 3 days passed. The goats on the island are always buzzing near the camp. constantly stimulating your hungry gut. If you are hungry, you take risks. You decide. Use everything you've learned in your life. To eat roasted goat thighs, made a bow from a tree's branches and found a rope. I tried the power for a short time. An arrow shot out like a toy. One more. Time to day 37. The good news is that breakfast was very effective today. There are 16 crabs in total and 2 boxes. Conk conk. The bad news is that the kettle has caught fire and punctured the bottom. Fortunately, there's still a big clam shell. It can be used to make pots, but the shell is too thick, so the cooking efficiency will be greatly reduced. 2/3 of the time has passed. I wake up in the morning and my stomach is swollen. Think about it, I haven't eaten in days. Long-term poor drinking leads to constipation. I've heard that eating charcoal purifies the intestines. I chewed several pieces in a row, but to the forest to wait to send love back to the land. Waking up in the middle of the night with severe abdominal pain. In pain he lay on the ground and screamed. The current situation is critical. I have no choice. In addition to calling the rescue team quickly came to check, take your temperature and blood pressure, and leave some antibiotics behind. Time to day 42. Your body has recovered a little after taking antibiotics. Last night the challenge. We have to keep looking for food on the beach. As usual, I picked up a can of oil today. Take it back to camp and stash it in stone. It will make the next food cooking more convenient. This type of iron is also useful. Very large use. Sharpen it and use it to make a woodland knife. Simply tie it to a stick. It could be a hand axe. I don't know if it's sharp or not. At least it's enough to cut the taro. The main food today is taro. Based on the concept of sustainable development, he planted some potatoes on a small plot of land behind his camp. Today's lunch is 5 taro slices. Yesterday's pain still echoes in my mind. So I can't eat crab anymore. Time to day 43. While patrolling the island, I discovered a giant coconut crab. Look at the size, it's estimated to weigh 10 kilograms. This makes me laugh. Big fiber spot now. You can finally have a full meal. Caught back at camp, I can't wait to start barbecuing. Its legs are as thick as your arms. Song try pieces. I feel like my hair has grown a lot. Even though you're eating today. But I'm worried about tomorrow's meal. I saw a lost goat. Based on your observations over the past few days, you have to finish building the bow quickly. While you've had your fill, it's drier. It's a good material for making arrows. Fix the nail on the end of the keyer to make the arrow. Hunting tool is finished. Saw the bow zipper should shoot. Really, unfortunately, I didn't even touch a single hair. Another day passed in the blink of an eye. Today's plan is to build a water collection device. There is something. And flows into the plastic tube underneath. It'll eventually flow into the barrel on the side. This maximizes the use of rainwater. Maybe, is to help you test the feasibility of this. It rained very hard that day. The water collector also obtains a full tank. I sat on one side and happily watched it. I don't know which will come first. Tomorrow or accident, but as long as you're filled with hope every day. You can also get a surprise. I found a wild goat on the beach. His head caught in the bush. I was stunned by the goat in front of me. Although very surprised, but your skills don't fall behind. Behind he picked up the stone and sent it down. Dragged to for Pluto now. Now you don't have to worry about the next meal. You can even use goat skin as a blanket. Sleeping at night. I starved 9 meals in 3 days. Think back to that miserable time when you first came to the island. This goat can be used well. He took a homemade knife and cut the meat into pieces. 1 part immediately and 1 part to make dry meat. I'm busy day and night dealing with this goat. Today is truly the happiest day. Sitting in camp happily cooking goat soup. It tastes delicious and soft when eaten. Up to 45 days with full food supplements. I started laughing and went to the beach. In a camp filled with ready-made pieces of goat meat, I heard the locals say, there's a way of cooking that fell from the sky. It's digging a hole deep in the ground. To fill it with stones. Put the wood in and heat the stone, and then put the goat's foot on top of it and cover it with leaves and soil. A few hours later, we saw the miracle. The food has been baked. On a deserted island, sitting at the camp eating a large piece of meat to drink 8 full soup. In the afternoon to watch the sunset. The wild life is too worried. Time to day 47. The goat's legs and ribs were all eaten. Baby. After stretching the skin, use a stone to scrape away impurities on the surface. More sun exposure 77. There's a warm goat skin jacket in 48 minutes. Don't talk about fashion and weird smells. Don't talk about anything else. The goat's organs and head were previously discarded. It's not wasted either. Now it's filled with maggots. It contains hundreds of times more protein than beef. There is still meat to eat. So I haven't used this yet. I'm going to use them as bait. Pouring ROI into small pools to attract fish. Block a few stones at the entrance. When the tide goes out, we're stuck in a puddle. To say that, the first ones have no hair, there's a lot of smart ideas. Come on. I've harvested a big bunch of coconuts. Come back to check the trap. There's a big fish inside. After many fights, you've successfully caught a delicious steamed fish. Great delicious taste. You even suck on bones. Time to day 50. I don't worry about food and clothing anymore. Ready to adventure at sea? Make a simple raft out of dry bamboo, then fasten more bottles and cans to increase buoyancy. Before leaving, he climbed up the mountain to observe the situation. The river feeds the waves. In the distance, there are sharks swimming in the water, so I don't dare to go to the sea again. I'm afraid my life will be lost there. By the time the 51st came, I'd been thinking a lot of nights. I decided to face my fear. Wake up and eat dried goat meat to be ready to sail. Just afraid the raft won't sink. Fortunately, the buoyancy is pretty good. It's just a little hard to control the direction, but not go far has sunk. I have no choice but to get down. Pushing the raft to the shore, the current plan to go to the sea can only be paused. You go back to digging potatoes for natural nutritional supplements. 1 meal a day is enough. Lasts until the last day. On the 57th, I will see my wife soon. The body also needs to move fast to improve sleep quality. He made himself a big hammock of bark. You will sleep comfortably tonight. Nah, you can walk anywhere on the front island. I see a mango tree. It's just the unripe fruit on the tree. Take a bite and take a bite. They eat of the forest. With tears in my eyes, my front teeth are broken. Fortunately, I was able to get home early though. If you lose a front tooth, no one can see it. Go back to camp and eat raw crab salad. After eating, it will turn into fertilizer. So don't worry. On the 60th day, I woke up laughing. In the early morning, I'm about to end my wild life on my island. Say goodbye to your camp. Not long after a plane came to take him home. So far I've completed the test. This way without any danger. Part of the survival test. 60 days on the island of the Sapphire. It's a lesson in patience, your creativity and ability to adapt, to face difficult situations, like lack of water, food and loneliness. From finding fresh water, hunting conch to build a shelter. Safari has proven that with perseverance and creativity, people can overcome all the challenges of education. Be patient and creative in any situation. Patience and creativity are key to overcome difficulties. Safari has proven that with simple tools and creativity, you can make fire, to build a place to collect food, and to be comfortable with the needs of the people. Nature is always harsh, and adapting to circumstances is an important factor to survive. Safari has learned how to use what's available on the island to survive mental health, psychological stress in a harsh environment. It can greatly influence decisions and actions. To keep the spirit alive and not giving up is necessary. To overcome the challenge, advice from the program. Always be carefully prepared, whether it's in life or challenges. The thorough preparation of knowledge, skills, and the spirit. It will help you face difficulties more confidently. Learn to adapt in harsh environments. 6 ways to adapt to circumstances and take advantage of what is available is an important factor to survive. Don't give up no matter how difficult the situation is. Perseverance and not giving up will help you overcome any challenges. Survival challenge. It's not just a fight with nature. It's also an opportunity to discover yourself and learn from those around you. Always be ready to face with difficulty and believe that you can overcome any challenge.